Hey everyone, Arshawn McBride with you again here. We're going to talk with Sophia Dean here in a minute about restructuring your debt. So, a lot of businesses are dealing with debt issues and problems. Obviously, cash flow has been massively disrupted by the COVID-19 situation. So, Sophia is a fellow attorney. She's been looking at the situation, looking at the updates. So, we're looking forward to getting her expertise here in a minute. And feel free to chime in if you have any questions, if you're catching this live. Otherwise, let us know after the fact, comment, and we'll try to circle back to you, maybe do another segment. So, Sophia, why don't you just take a quick moment, tell people who you are and what you do, and then we'll kind of jump into the tough questions of what do you do
Yeah,
having some financial difficulties.
great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Sure.
Um, so I'm primarily a bankruptcy attorney at the Orlando Law Group, pretty full-based law firm. The owner of the firm, Jennifer, she deals with a lot of businesses. She's actually been jumping on Facebook, giving updates on what's come out for the CARES Act. But then obviously these things start trickling over to me as far as what can we do about our debts? How is this going to impact me? Is bankruptcy something we should be talking about right now? So there's just been a lot of movement, I'm sure, as you can see. I've been practicing bankruptcy for 8 years now, and I started in 2011, right? So it was after the fallout of the recession. I did not see that initial hit, but I can tell you 11, 12, 13 was an onslaught of bankruptcies, people coming out of what the recession did to them. So I have a lot of knowledge in this area. I'm hoping to help a lot of people get through this, whether it's just restructuring, figuring out where to go, or if ultimately it might be a bankruptcy for a small business.
Yeah.
That's going to probably be where we're going to be looking here very shortly.
Yeah. So, I think it really depends on where you are. I've been kind of looking at this from the outside, and I've got clients in each of these buckets, and I'm watching it. You've got some people who, whatever nature of their business, whatever their business is set up, it's, cash flow is largely the same, right? So, grocery store, somebody who, is, got a delivery business, somebody that's manufacturing stuff that goes into the medical industry. Got one client in that category. So, some people it's like, just, almost business as usual, at least from a cash flow standpoint. We got other businesses where, business is completely shut down, right? Or deeply impacted, right? So these are some of your non-essential retail establishments. A lot of your restaurants are severely limited, major cash flow problems, and then we've got some people in the middle. So I think we're probably talking to that second and third category, right? The people who are feeling a cash flow hit, trying to figure out where to go next, or people who are, mixed cash flows now, right? Things have changed, and you got to try to figure out what to do. So why don't you just, and we've got several government programs layering in there too. So I guess we can kind of start with that, right? So, what are the immediate answers?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure everyone has seen, what's come out with the CARES Act, whether it's the payroll protection, the EIDL grants. If you want to pop over to the Orlando Law Group's Facebook page, Jennifer did an awesome recap last week of what was out there for her businesses, small businesses, and what you can get going on. Ultimately, if you can get a hold of some money, whether it's a loan, an SBA loan with a low interest, or maybe a grant, obviously make that determination what's best for you. Obviously, free money is always better.
Yeah.
Something to float you through. That is definitely my suggestion, because what majority of the small businesses that I interact with are just seeing an extreme downturn in business, right? So it's like, we don't know where the money's going to come from in the next couple of months, and we don't know how long this is going to go on. So if we could get some of that cash flow coming in just to float you through, and we don't know right now how long these are taking. Or initially they said the grants were going to come in 3 days. We have not seen that happen. So I know I've got a friend who's a commercial banker for small businesses in Kansas City. She's been pushing loans through as fast as possible. It's just going to take time to get them through. So apply if you haven't. Reach out to somebody that can help you with figuring out what is best for your business. I reached out to my own tax accountant. He was very, very knowledgeable. Something to kind of bridge that gap. I think that's going to be the first step.
Yeah. So you got to somehow figure out how to get from here to there short-term cash flow, right? And there are potentially, depending on how you structure your situation, you may get some, like you say, free money, right? Some government money.
Right.
And at the very minimum, you might be able to get some loans, right? So whether
Correct.
it's the the payroll protection program, where most people seem to be going, or these economic disaster loans, there are options out there to kind of at least get some cash in the door short term. That's only going to get you so far, right? And particularly if your business is deeply hit by this. And I'm thinking now of, maybe restaurants, maybe travel related businesses. I mean, these may not pop back very quickly. And so, if you're that business owner, now you're looking and saying, hey, I can go for one of these loans. Maybe I can get a short term bridge, but a longer term, I think I may have some problems.
Right.
Where do you start the analysis there, Sophia?
Obviously, a lot of the things with business flow over to your personal issues, right? So I had an interaction with a small business where he was very concerned. It's a dog boarding, doggy daycare type place, because he not only has a mortgage on that building, but he has his mortgage on his home, right? So he ultimately asked me right away about the forbearance options. A lot of people are thinking maybe I can take a forbearance on if you have a building, for example, on that mortgage. How's that going to work out?
Sure.
Right. And that's what I kind of want to jump into and talk about is those forbearances. I'm sure a lot of people have heard, okay, my mortgage is suggesting I can, I've seen articles, I can do a forbearance. And what does a forbearance mean, right? It's a temporary suspension of payments. That doesn't mean that you don't have to pay them. Does not mean that they are forgiven. It means that they're temporarily suspended. Okay, well, how does that play out in the long term? The answer is we don't know. I have seen this happen when Florida was been hit with the hurricanes in years past. There was some disaster relief. We can suspend your mortgage for 3 months, right? Well, then what happened? They called and said, okay, hey, I need the forbearance. They're like, yeah, sure, call back and after the 3 months. So they call back and they say, okay, everything's due, or you can apply for a loan modification on your mortgage, and we'll hopefully modify your loan and modify the terms of your loan. Because the terms of your loan are not modified by a forbearance. You need an actual loan modification in order for that to happen. And so a lot of people are getting tripped up with this forbearance. And my advice is if you do not absolutely need to take a forbearance on your mortgage, whether it's for your business or your personal home loan mortgage, do not do it. We don't know for sure what they are going to do.
Yeah, and I think that's a real concern, right? And I heard one lender, lender thought one possibility was that after the forbearance period, which might be, whatever, 3-4 months or whatever period of time, then they're going to say, hey, give us back the 3-4 months, right? Which would put you in a very tough cash flow situation because you may be looking at, this fall having to then pay back the money that you skipped, or who knows what the long-term cost of it's going to be, right? So it's something that I think your analysis is the same as hers, which is if you absolutely need it, do it. But if you're just doing it because, hey, this might be nice to have some extra cash in the bank,
Right.
probably not a great idea.
Right. I think a lot of people automatically panic and called initially, and the bank said, yeah, sure, we can do a forbearance. And there's, just that initial panic of, oh my gosh, my business has been shut down. I'm a non-essential and I don't know how this is going to affect me. So then I put it on the forbearance. Okay, well, that's fine. But then maybe you go now and you apply for loans, or you get your stimulus check, which, by the way, those have started showing up. I have a couple of people telling me they received them last night. So the stimulus check starts showing up, and then you're like, okay, well, what should I do with that money, right? My suggestion is if you forbeared your mortgage or you forbear other things and you still have money coming in, you're doing okay. Do not go out and spend that on unnecessary items, because we don't know what's going to happen. Put that money away. You might need it in 3 months. They may want a 3-month payment in order to bring you current on that mortgage loan.
Yeah.
That's going to be important, because guess what? If you don't get current on that 3 months, you're going to automatically be in default and you're going to be facing a foreclosure.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't want to set that chain off. So I think definitely, particularly if you're in a forbearance situation, right, definitely belt tighten, make sure you don't spend anything more than what you have to keep your essential operations going, keep yourself moving forward over the next period of time. Don't use it as a financing tool. But like you say, the business and the personal interplay, particularly for small business owners, because a lot of them probably are going to have to figure out between their business and their personal how to make the next couple of monthly payments.
Right.
And so they're going to be using both pools of money potentially to figure out how to manage the cash flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say if there are business owners out there that might be having student loans, for example, that's a personal expense, right? A lot of us, student loans, no matter what, I mean,
Yeah.
9 out of 10 people have student loans, right? Those have a 0% interest, and those are automatically, if they're federally backed, going on automatic forbearance. So there's no payments needing to be made there, and there's no interest accruing.
Right.
I do not see harm in not making those payments, and that right there might save you $200, $300, $400, $500.
Yep.
So that is something that I would suggest taking advantage of. If you are in a tight spot, there's the place to cut back. Take advantage of that.
Right. So if you've got student loans, that's your first pocket of cash to pull. That's going to be much simpler than pulling from the mortgage.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And what do you do if it becomes deeper, right? So I mean, obviously, you've got the potential student loan forbearance, you've got the mortgage forbearance, which is secondary. If you have to go there, go there. You don't know really what you're signing up for because you don't know what's going to happen. What's next? So if a business owner's got a severe downturn in cash flow and the payroll protection program isn't a big enough bridge, where do you go next?
I think it depends on what we really, if you've got loans and you've got them with, banks or credit card loans, those type of things, reach out to them. The worst thing, and the thing that I see most people do, is just kind of avoid. Put your head in the sand, avoid the situation, and hope that it will just get better. Try to face those head on. Reach out to them, tell them you're having trouble making payments, see what they can do for you. Don't just skip the payments or continue to ignore the calls, those type of things, because they might be able to help you, right? Obviously, if you've got staff that you're trying to pay, there's not really much you can do there other than cut back, which is the worst thing. Nobody wants to have to fire or lay off staff, furloughing staff, that type of thing. But as far as debts that you have, try to work with those lenders. If that isn't looking like anything promising, they're refusing to forbear any payments or give you a lower payment for a time being, and you are facing a default in the coming months, then you're going to have to look at those one by one. Reach out to an attorney who deals with debt or bankruptcy and find out, okay, hey, this loan's been in default. I haven't been able to make 3 months payments. They've now accelerated it. They want the whole thing. What can I do? And hopefully that doesn't become too severe. Then you can talk about maybe settling those debts for less than the total amount owed. Maybe once this gets going again, you've got more cash flow. You can start doing some settlements on debts that went default during this time. That would be the first step, I would say, if we're talking about loans or credit cards or those type of things, business loans that you've taken out. We see a lot of that. A lot of time, those are also personally guaranteed business loans, then affecting your personal credit as well. So reach out to them and see if they're going to offer anything. Make the phone call, wait the 2 hours that it's going to take for them to answer the phone to try to see if they can do something if you absolutely cannot make the payments.
Yeah, and we see that a lot, obviously. So most small business loans have that personal guarantee on the back. So if you don't remember what you signed, you may want to go check your file. You probably did sign a personal guarantee.
Right.
Unless your business is large or it's been around for a long time, you probably signed it. So you probably have to think about, not only is this going to affect your business line of credit and your business cash flow, but it's going to directly go into your personal cash flow next if you have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's typically where I get the small businesses that come in and are facing bankruptcy. It's because it's not just that the business went under, but they've also then personally guaranteed themselves to those debts, right? So it's one thing if you had a small business, let's say you opened a CrossFit gym and that didn't work out. Okay, no big deal. You shut down, had very little assets, you sell off what you had, but you have then personally guaranteed yourself on all of these loans. Well, the business is shut down. Effectively, there's nothing for those creditors to come get from you. There was no real assets in something like that. And now where are they going to go? Well, they're going to come after you because you personally guaranteed that debt. That becomes potential bank garnishment, liens on paid off vehicles, liens on investment properties. That can become very scary. And that's where we end up looking at a bankruptcy situation for a business owner because of the personally guaranteed debt. Sometimes it's just too much to settle, and a bankruptcy might be the better option. And for a lot of my clients have had to do that, it's wiped clean, and then go right back out and start another business.
Yeah.
So it definitely isn't the end all be all. And luckily we live in a country where that is an option, because without the ability to start a business, even with the potential to fail, nobody would try.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of successful people have gone bankrupt, right? So you've got the Tony Robbins of the world, you've got the
Right.
Walt Disneys of the world. You know, this is not an unusual situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
particularly.
Obviously, we'll try to avoid it. I try to avoid putting my clients through the bankruptcy if there's any way that we can settle it. If they're looking at lump sums, they're looking at maybe making payments. Because effectively, if we're filing a bankruptcy on my end, because I do not practice Chapter 11s, although I know some great Chapter 11 attorneys, and I can certainly get you over to someone who can do some restructuring. The bankruptcies in my world are effectively shutting down. We're shutting down the small business, but they're also coming after you, and we need to protect your personal liability. But that's enough to get you out of debt and get you a fresh start so that you can start over and move on.
Yeah. So it's a matter of looking at your options, folks. Like Sophia said, go check out their resources. Let me let people get your contact information in case you spark something. Somebody just needs to talk and get some
Yeah.
ideas.
Absolutely. So my personal email at the Orlando Law Group is sdean, D-E-A-N, at theorlandolawgroup.com. You can find me on the website, theorlandolawgroup.com. Our phone number is 407-512-4394. Receptionist will transfer you to myself or my paralegal. If you want to speak with me regarding debt, we service small business. If you've got business issues, Jennifer is an awesome resource. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you through this time. A lot of people are doing wills right now. As morbid as that sounds, we have had a really big influx in wills. If you don't have your will, get it lined up. Not just now, but for any issue, it's important to have. So throw that in there too.
Great. So, folks, go check them out. Call Sophia if you need the help. Thank you for being with us today. Thanks for
Absolutely.
the audience. And for those of you out there watching, take a moment, pat yourself on the back. Make sure you're connected with both of us on LinkedIn, Arshawn McBride, Sophia Dean, and yeah, we'll look forward to talking to you again in the future. Let us know what questions you have, and we'll see if we can answer them for you. So, thanks for joining us today.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.